Escobar season has returned.
This is what makes me. This is what I am. Feel me?
Old life blown away in the blink of an eye. Nothing left but all the time in the world to think about.
So, hi everyone. I think everyone pretty much knows me, but thank you for coming to our roundtable. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to try to do a couple of roundtables, but about different topics. But this time we're going to do one about what's going on in Ohio and them not being able to do their program and just programming in general in prisons and the importance of it and rehabilitation and being able to maintain and build connections and kind of how the red zone helps in being able to maintain those connections and do all of those things. But also we can, anyone has any other topics they want to talk about too, they can always chime in and bring those in as well. But since this is the first one, I don't know everybody that knows everyone. I think everyone pretty much knows me, but we can all introduce ourselves and I'll introduce myself and then I'll kind of just go down the line of the way that I see it on my screen. So I am Portia. For those of you that don't know me, I am one of the co-founders of the XV3 The RedZone. I have a background in psychology. My master's degree is in forensic psychology. I love people. My favorite color is pink. And primarily, I've always been passionate about the prison system and prison reform and just people in general. I think people have always been my passion. So building curriculums and making programs and just being able to help people maintain those connections have always been really important to me. So that's a big part of why I think I do the things that I do. So that is a little bit about me. Marta, you are next.
Oh, well, okay. I came to this because of Abe and Crystal. I see, I'm partners with Al in prison and met Abe that way. And we share a like experience in our introduction to the Lord and his goodness. And even before that, I've always had a passion for the underdogs and the people that people count out. And I just always have. So I'm excited to see what this is all about. And I feel like I finally found a place where I fit. It's like, I don't know how to explain it to anybody, but I feel like I finally fit somewhere. So I'm excited to see what goes on.
Well, we definitely appreciate you. And thanks for coming. I definitely appreciate it. So then next we have Sam's mom. I apologize, I forget what your name is.
That's okay. It's Maggie.
Maggie, that's right.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, I'm just here because Sam's in Kansas, and he's got a heart for trying to reach kids so that they don't wind up where he is, and so that's always been his heart. So that's kind of why I'm a part of this too. I've done prison ministry, years ago, but yeah, that's that.
Thank you, Maggie. I'll probably never forget your name now.
Okay.
Next we have Trisha.
I am Portia's best friend. I'm here because I'm one of her biggest cheerleaders on everything that she's done. I'm her soundboard for before all of this ever started. And I believe in everything that she's doing for prison reform, not only because she's amazing, but also I have family and friends who've been through the prison system. So I see the effects of what it can do to family and friends.
I love you. All right. And next on my screen, we have my co-founder's mom, Deanne Elizondo.
Hello.
Please stop that. What do you?
Do you want to tell a little bit about you?
Oh, a little bit about me. So I'm Dustin's mom. Been dealing with the prison system for getting ready to go on 10 years now. And just excited for him and Portia to do the Red Zone. And yes, this is their baby.
It is nice talking to you.
Yes.
All right. And then I have Sam.
Yeah, I'm Sam. I'm just somebody sitting in prison in the Midwest out here in Kansas, and I came to it through Portia, and it's weird because before I was introduced to Portia, I'd just been sitting on my bunk, and I was just like, man, I have no purpose. Like, I have no reason to even wake up in the morning. Like, none. I have no impact, I bring nothing to the table. I'm just like doing dead time. And so this really opened up the door for me to hopefully, be of impact and reach people that maybe other people might not be able to reach, maybe won't know what to say, maybe are too afraid to say something. And so this really opened up an opportunity for me to kind of to speak to things that maybe other people wouldn't want to speak to. And so this has been something that's been has given me something to wake up for in the morning and just purpose in life. And so, yeah, I appreciate you doing this for us, Portia. And I hope that Ohio recognizes that significance of people finding purpose and their voice in prison, being able to reach out and actually impact for good.
And we appreciate you for sharing, your stories, your interviews, bringing the people on that you do bring on, because it's always amazing people. So we definitely appreciate you too.
Yeah, that's Abe.
And that is who's next, Abraham and Crystal.
So yeah, I guess you can say I'm the second half to the Underground Railroad with Sam, my mini-me. But no, and I had to get that in there. No, but so I come from both sides, right? So I've been in prison. I was in prison for a very long time and actually got out and been out for almost a year and a half now. And Sam brung the idea with joining with him on this podcast when it comes to sharing or experiencing the goodness of God. For me, on the other side, because I'm a pastor, I pastor a church. And so I know in Sam's heartbeat when it comes to the Lord and to having purpose in him. I know he said that he didn't have purpose sitting on a bunk, but even on that bunk, he still had a purpose because me and him have a relationship inside, which actually developed on the outside, which actually spilled into the podcast that we do. And so just a sound bite off him. This is a way that we're able to allow our voice to be heard, to let people know that even though men are in prison, they do and they can change, and that they have something impactful to impact other people's lives. And so this is a great way, man, to really help. You know how the prison system is all rehabilitation. There's no rehabilitation like you do it yourself. And so like things like this podcast like this is one of the things that need to be utilized in a system such as that, because it's helpful. It helps a person be centered, focused, motivated, encouraged, greater than themselves, right? So at the end of the day, I believe anybody who have experience being in prison in some way, form, and fashion, I know my hope, I know Sam's heart has always been man, I want to prevent somebody from doing something I've done. How can I make a difference? And so this is a way that we can make our difference and make our mark in this world. So that's what I would have to say.
Oh, thank you, Abe. Crystal.
Well, I'm Crystal Orr, and I got put onto this podcast because of Abraham and Sam. Just to see their excitement about the podcast made me want to do it even more. I know Abraham's heart, and in knowing his heart, getting to know Sam's, and they do have a heart for people. They do have a heart for young men and women not repeating the same paths that they went down. And so just by their excitement, that made me want to do this all the more. And so that's kind of how I came.
Oh yeah, she also like a social worker, caseworker. She does have a master's degree, so she's not no dummy. You know, she's not illiterate of what's going on in the world, like when it comes to the systems, right? So yeah, all right. So I'll just put that in there too. So.
I myself have not been in the system, but I've worked with a lot of children and families that have been in the system, and so that was always my heart, to keep kids from continuing on in the system. And so we just kind of meshed together like that, I guess.
All right.
We appreciate you. And then last but definitely never, ever, ever least, Alton, introduce yourself. Alton, are you there? I don't think oh wait, maybe. Well, if he comes in, if he chimes in, then we'll introduce Alton. He is in Maryland. So he does the show, Day in the Life of a Juvenile Lifer. So that is the show that he does on the RedZone, and he is in Maryland. And if he's able to come in or speak, then we'll let him speak. But so I want to just, oh wait, there you go. Hey, do you want to introduce yourself? Yeah, I can hear you.
Phone is acting crazy right now. I'm incarcerated in currently incarcerated for about years now.
I think your phone is going in and out. We can't really hear you. Okay.
This phone, and I'm gonna call back.
Okay.
Call for this phone and call back because this one is out.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to start out with talking about what is going on with, well, thanking everyone for being here, but then again, also talking about what is going on in Ohio with the Ohio guys. They have been told that they are not allowed to participate in the curriculum anymore. And if they do participate, then they're going to be receiving disciplinary action, increased security levels, phone tablets taken away, all of those kind of things if they do participate. So we have completely stopped recording or posting anything that I have of them. They're saying that they can't be on social media at all, or have any kind of, even though I don't do their pictures, I do their pictures as cartoons. Anything of their likeness, they're saying, cannot be on social media, or and that's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, any of those things. And to an extent, I definitely understand, but then also I don't understand. It's a little difficult to understand in terms of what we're doing, because we are a program and we are doing it as a curriculum. We are doing it as something positive to help people, to encourage people, to keep people motivated. And they've now turned off all of my phone numbers, so nobody in Ohio can even contact me if they wanted to contact me. Even though I have not posted anything or recorded anything from anyone in Ohio, since they said that people were going to be getting in trouble. So that is kind of the first thing I wanted to talk about, and kind of get everyone's just thoughts on where they are with that. And anyone can chime in.
Well, I heard someone say there's three things that we need in life: someone to love, something to do, and something to look forward to. And the day that anyone, a woman or a man, goes into prison and the doors close, they lose all three of those things. And, when you lose hope and purpose, like Sam said, you just sit on your bunk and you just feel like you're dying 1,000 deaths. And this has given Sam purpose and hope again. He was excited. He's been in 17 years, and we haven't heard that for 17 years. Just the purpose of helping someone not be where he is right now. So that's how I would speak to that. Of course, having the Lord in your life for sure is, huge. It's the most important thing, but we still, as a basic human, need those other things.
Right.
So,
and I think that that's one of the main and primary important things about the red zone is that, and that's why one of the topics is maintaining connection, because it is something that helps to be able to maintain that connection. But it also, stimulates in a lot of different areas. Education wise, you start thinking about things more, life skills, organizing things, and all of those different kind of areas. You start kind of figuring out and working on figuring out how to manage. But the primary, I think, thing is that loss of connection, because I think a lot of times that people end up in prison because they're lacking that connection in one way or another, some form, either with someone, something, they're finding that connection in the wrong things, but it's somewhere a lack of connection. And so then you then go to prison and that lack of connection increases even more. So then now you are, just becoming completely disconnected with the outside world. And I think sometimes even with yourself. And so that's the purpose of the red zone, is being able to help build that connection again, being able to help build that connection between family, between the society and communities, and really being able to build that connection with yourself, being able to kind of use it as a therapeutic outlet. And I think that that's what's helpful. Go ahead, Abraham.
Yeah, so if I can chime in, so one of the biggest things that when it comes to, I say one of my biggest hurdles in prison was where they would allow you the opportunity to acclimate yourself back into society, right? And so this is a big thing, rehabilitation, acclimation, stuff like that. So I actually had to fight to even prepare myself to get out, right? And so this podcast, so communication is a key. And being able to communicate with people in prison who are like-minded, who are encouraging, have some sense of hope, who have some sense of purpose, who have some sense of drive or motivation to do good and to maintain that level is real rare in between. It can happen, it does happen, but it's a very select few, right? So but that's just inside. You see, it's just another level into the community aspect, being able to communicate with other people, get to know who they are, them get to know who you are, learning new things. Like this podcast allows you to learn new things, learn new skills. These are skills that are very essential to a man's success or a woman's success when they do get out. how to communicate, right? So since we on here, this is all about. It's communication. It's not being secluded. It's allowing yourself to be seen, allowing yourself to be known, allowing yourself to be heard. So these things are essential for people, men or women, when they do get out, right? And it's a stepping stone into the right direction. It's a stepping stone to like, okay, I can meet someone who knows me for who I am, who set me for who I am, and you know what? It's gonna be all right. I don't have to go back to the same street. I don't have to go back to the same rut, whatever, right? So it opens so many doors in so many ways that they won't even be able to comprehend, for lack of better words, right? But this is like where the rubber hits the road. Like when it comes to building relationships, maintain relationships, positive relationships, right? These are things, especially when it comes to a podcast, like interviewing people. Uh, uh, Man, it's so many ways, but yeah, that's me. That's my spiel. I'm gonna get off it right now because it's gonna be loud more time later on.
But and then you also think, building, when you think about building connections and thinking about staying connected and being able to communicate, it's another way of being able to kind of acclimate you back to the community. The community gets a chance to listen to you before you're out in a more kind of safer way where they can kind of go there, listen to you. It gives a way for the community to interact in a different kind of way, as opposed to, I think a lot of times, you just meet someone, you're out and you meet them, they come in for a job interview, or, and then you find out about it gives that opportunity to give that different perspective before there's that initial contact. But that's what builds that connection and builds that communication. But then you think about also what happens when you build connections and you're able to communicate with people. You're able to network. And when you network, you're able to find employment. You're able to find different opportunities. You're able to find different resources. All of those things you're able to do when you start connecting and communicating with people, which is another thing that people that are coming out of prison really need, is those resources and being able to have somebody that they can connect with.
So not only that, right? So if you really take a step back and look at it, right? If you don't have somebody know someone in prison, right, you won't know the other side. So really, you going in, you have blind, you're not. What kind of word did I use? A lot of people in the community don't know a man or woman's life that's in prison. They get from the media, some of the stuff that may happen in prison. They hear about hear about the fights, hear about a guard getting stabbed, they hear about this, but they don't never hear about the good thing that goes on.
Right.
It's always a negative spin, right?
Right.
And so if you now have someone who's in prison, don't have that personal relationship with them, you'll never know the goodness of the men and women who actually in prison doing positive things. There's so many negative things that come from when you hear the word prison. So it's hard to grasp anything good coming out of that, right?
Right.
And so that's just another one. I mean, I'll keep going. Just give me a minute.
And that's why, like doing the podcast is able to kind of help tear down some of those stigmas and labels and, all of those kind of things. Marta, did you want to say something? You look like you wanted to say something.
You'll find out I always want to say something. No, being involved with someone for 26 years who's been in prison, I see a lot of sides of it because I've had the stigma on the outside of being with someone in prison and the judgment and the condemnation that goes with that. And to actually have a network of people that understand that.
Right.
We all do bad things. Some of us get caught. And I know that's an oversimplification in a way, but in a way it really isn't.
Right.
That's kind of so and I see it as, in all those years, I've watched so many things that go on in the prison, and because it's controlled. You know, my philosophy has always been going to prison is the punishment. I don't care what they say, that's the punishment because that's the law. You don't go to prison to get punished. The punishment is going to prison, and prisons are not restorative and not redemptive, and they're punitive. And people can say all they want, but Abe's right. You do it on an individual basis, or you don't do it at all.
Right.
So any kind of outlet that helps you formulate a different way of thinking or just a different perspective. Because everybody in there has this, a lot of them have the very same perspective. So helping anybody have some kind of relationship and communication that helps them alter a perspective of how things can be, how they can be, it is a tremendous impact, no matter what. So I understand the whole thing about the quote, no social media. This isn't, that's a pretty broad term though to lay on it, because I agree with you. It's a specific purpose. And like you said, they're not on there. You know, we don't see Sam's face. We don't see Alton's face. We don't see,
right.
But it allows them the opportunity to begin to grow,
right,
and to communicate outside of the prison that they're in.
Right.
And that will help change society's minds about them, and help them adapt to society. So shutting that off is just putting them back in a cage.
Right. And, you know, a lot of the guys in Ohio, they're really upset. And a lot of them have said that they feel like, one, what can we do? But also that they feel like they're just trying to kind of make them be invisible, make them be forgotten about. And that in itself is a really tough feeling to have, because nobody wants to feel like they've been completely forgotten about, especially when, you know, you may not have the greatest support system or the best support system. You still need to have that outlet. You still need to know that you're a person. You still need to not feel like you're invisible or someone's trying to just kind of make you invisible.
Right.
And
you're not just a number.
Right. And it made me feel really bad when they said that.
You're a person, but it's like a cat and mouse game. You try and hide so that you don't get caught for just being who you are.
Right.
Being who you are. You don't get second chances. You don't get to express yourself in any major way. And then they want you to come out and be this person. You've never even given them the tools to begin that journey.
Right. Right. Exactly. Trisha, were you going to say something?
No, I was just saying, like, they didn't give them a chance to be the model citizen because they're not giving them the opportunity to, like, you're mentally dogging, like, dragging them down.
Right.
Yeah.
And not, so when they come out, they don't know how to act. They don't know how to interact with people. They don't know, like, my cousin was in for 38 years.
Wow.
When he came out, it was like, he didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
He he couldn't acclimate. He started becoming an alcoholic again. And like, still he's in his 60s and doing stuff that a normal 20-year-old would do because he was locked away in his 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing. They expect these people, men and women, to rehabilitate, but don't give them the programs, don't give them the resources in order to rehabilitate. It's programs like these that help them to be able to reacclimate themselves to society. It's programs like these that help them to change and give them something to look forward to. And so, like I said before, the excitement for Sam and Abraham that I see, it makes a huge difference in a person's life, especially for, you know, Sam to be able to communicate with people outside here. That's going to make it so much more easy for him when he gets out.
Absolutely.
And so I would piggyback off that, just a couple things. So I just come from the experience aspect, like just going in prison, because I went in prison like 17 years old. Caught my case, I was 17, and I didn't get out until I was like 47, right? So I spent like 28, 29 years in prison, man. And so, and the whole thing with the prison system, like you said, you go there to be, your sentence, the punishment is prison, but you're not supposed to be punished while you're in prison.
Right.
And the big thing is that while you're in prison, it's not improving and being rehabilitated, and that's not the case. That's not what's happening. And so what people realize that in the prison system, since the time I went in, 1994, they began to take away programs after programs after program, vocations after vocations out of the system, right? And they really didn't replace it with anything. Okay, get a GED. Okay, work on getting a minimum wage job. Okay, those things are good. But where does it come in when you help a man or woman acclimate themselves back into society? Where do you bridge that gap? That gap is not being fulfilled within the prison system. So a lot of times when you go in prison, yes, you're unheard. They want you to be forgotten. They want you to be lost. And if you don't have enough fortitude, strength of mind, or courage to pull out of that rut yourself, right? To actually say, you know what, I'm gonna change, pick up a book yourself. They really don't care. That's just the truth. Yeah. That is the bottom line truth. I'm talking about from experience. I'm not telling you something I've seen in a book. I'm not telling you something I heard on TV or the radio. I'm telling you what I lived while I was in prison, right? Yeah. And so it takes a special type of person, a man or woman, to overcome the prison system in that magnitude and come out and to be productive. I'm not where I'm at because I did it myself. No. I'm at where I'm at because in the prison system, somebody took a chance on me. And it wasn't because of the DOC. It wasn't because of them, because some people made the effort from the outside to come in to see about me. Not something that the prison they put together. It's something that I myself pursued from inside going out, and the outside came in, right? And so here we are on this podcast on the outside trying to get in and hope to bring life into a deadened situation. Let's be real. Prison is a deadened situation to a lot of men and women that don't have no purpose, they don't have no direction, and don't have anybody who really care about them. And they let them out and they go right back to the same old thing. Or like Trisha said, or her uncle, right? Did 38 years in prison. Right, he's an alcoholic, and now he's kind of like he's 20 years old, right? Because what happens is the same age, a lot of men mentalities. When I was 17, going on 18. I can only imagine I could have came out, a 40-something-year-old man coming out living like I'm 17, 18 years old with no purpose, right? And so things like this podcast is like extremely, I can't say enough, extremely important, extremely essential to a man or woman's success when they're coming back into society. Because why? Because it allowed them to build relationship. This thing is built on relationship, right? Fellowship. This is what this is all about. Fellowship. Helping somebody who's going to need help when they get out. And so this is a doorway, man. You know, this not overlooked at. This is a doorway.
And so that kind of takes me into my next topic, which was programs. And so this is a program, and what do you guys think that, you know, where is there the lack of program, or what is missing in programming that, like Abraham said, needs to be able to bridge the gap?
Don't allow people like you.
I think there are a lot of programs. You can go get a college, you can get a degree, you can get your GED, you can be in the garden, you can be in reaching out from within, you can go to the call outs, but you don't have, I liked the mentoring program when somebody could come in and actually just befriend you and come and visit and just talk. You know, everybody always complains a lot in visitation about they're so packed. It ought to be packed. Visitation rooms should be packed. And you know, they need the interaction, they need the people, and everything is so organized that to just allow people, you know, I get in trouble all the time for talking to other inmates, don't care. But, you know, so it's that interaction, just relationship. And there's programs that build the relationship with inmates inside, and it's always constructive based on mindsets. And you need programs that allow interaction with society more, other than just showing up to give them the awards or just showing up to do certain things. You need real bottom line interaction.
Yeah. Sam has something to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, off the top, the first thing that came to mind with the difference between this program and other programs is, in this, you ask the question, when we're going through the curriculum, you said, give me your vision statement, what's your mission? And it really forced me, I really started kind of scrambling, but it forced me to say, like, what am I really about? And the purpose of, like, a vision statement is, it's like, if I was to go, 50 years ahead in my life and look back, what do I want people to say? What type of legacy do I want to live? What type of man do I want to be? What do I want to give to the world? And so really, it really causes you to have like a self-reflection, just say, am I actually heading in the direction that I want to go in? And if not, how do I need to like recalibrate my direction and change? And how can I pivot? And so really, like, it forced me to be introspective and just say, man, where do I really, really, really want to go in my life? And so for me being here and having the time, which many of us do, to really think about those types of things in a way that people on the streets are so busy, don't have that chance. And if I didn't have that moment and they just let me go and I had no vision, no purpose, then I would just be doing what a 17-year-old kid would be doing, and I'd be going nowhere. And so I would say for this specific curriculum, that's the thing that's been really instrumental, because it really challenged me on, like, where am I headed, and to have an honest evaluation. And so that part of the curriculum is really, it's been big to me, because it really forced me to say, who do I want to impact? And so that's the difference maker between this and getting your GED.
Yeah. Good point.
I love the mission vision statements, because I feel like everyone should have a personal mission and vision statement, because you should always have something that you're looking forward to. There's something that you should always want to do for the future. You should always have some sort of mission in life, and you should always have some sort of vision on what you want the future to look like. I mean, you can, they always say you can make the future look however you want it to look. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I feel like there's no harm in trying. So just kind of getting that idea of what you want the future to look like for you when you're, looking back in the future, when you're looking towards the future, what do you want that to look like? What do you want your personal mission to be? What do you, as a person, as an individual, want people to think of you, your legacy to be, kind of like Sam was saying. So that's why I always have, that's the first thing that you do as part of the curriculum, is you do your mission and your vision, like your personal mission and your vision statement.
That's good. Yeah.
And so then when I think about programs, I think a lot of times that there are programs that are in the prisons. We know that there are, all these different kinds of programs, but I think it's very much about also making sure that there are programs that people are engaged in and are interacting with and are excited to do. Because a lot of times I think a lot of people just do the programs because I don't have anything else to do, so I might as well, just do this. They're not happy about it. They're not excited about it. They're not engaged about it. None of those things. And so when you're trying to think about a program as being behavior management in the prison, or being, a deterrent for behavior, if it's not something that they're excited about, not something that they're engaged in, then it's not going to be a deterrent for any other kind of, behavior. So I think that that's also an important thing that needs to be looked at when thinking about programming and thinking about programs for the prison, is making sure that they are things that people are going to be engaged in, because that is what's going to stop them from getting in trouble. So we had a guy that's part of the Red Zone. He's in Ohio, actually. And before he started, he was going to the hole. He had a hard time even starting the pilot because he was going to the hole like every week. And then he started and he never went to the hole. He hasn't gone to the hole since, hasn't got any tickets, hasn't anything. I mean, now he can't record anymore and do that. So I don't know, exactly how that's going to impact him, but that's just, one example of one person that stopped, any of the negative kind of behavior that they were doing, or behavior that would be considered taking up the staff's time and, hogging staff and all of those things. That's not an issue for them anymore, because he was completely focused on doing something else. He wasn't focused on, any of those negative things that he was doing. He had a completely different focus and a completely different motivation. And so that's the difference between kind of giving someone a program and then giving someone a program that is actually going to make a difference for them. They have to be engaged. They have to want to do it. They have to be excited about it. If they're not, then it's just something that they're doing to pass time because there's nothing else that, they have to do. And again, in general, it's not going to be a deterrent.
And so I'm chiming in real quick. So programs in the prison system. First of all, I'm a firm believer in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Hey, I'll say over half of us on here believe in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We are Christians through and through. In the prison system, they mainly only have Christian programs. That's great, but guess what? Everybody's not a Christian.
Right.
Everybody don't have a personal relationship the way we have relationship with our Lord and Savior. And so I believe I'm all for men turn to the Lord, right? But the reality of the situation is that can just be an avenue that people are like, okay, I'm going to fake the front, make my way through, and it really ain't beneficial, nothing like that, right? And really, but it's always a means to an end. So I'd rather give someone something that's really going to be useful and helpful when it comes to them being acclimated back to society. So it's going to help them be successful in getting back home to them streets. And so, once again, I'm all aboard when it comes to Christ. But also I'm all aboard for men getting out and staying out, women getting out and staying out, right? So how do we bridge that gap? We're talking about bridging that gap, right? And so let's be honest, a lot of times when it comes to these Christian programs, are only because of money, right?
Yep.
That's what it comes down to. So I have friends who are Muslims, right? I have friends who are Buddhists. I have friends who are other religions, right? And so you tell them that they have to box themselves in to a whole nother something that they do not even jive with, listen, don't even fellowship with, right? So you asking them to box in and come out to a whole nother realm that they don't even feel comfortable in. You asking them to, first of all, be fake. The whole thing about being in prison, being real, right? Being honest. So how you ask them to get involved in something where they have to be fake to be a part of, right? That's not right. And so you were talking about how can we bridge this gap? This is one of the ways we can, because you allow men and women to be who they are, to be productive, have a voice, right? To communicate, right? To build the relationships. They're going to help them, propel them when they do get out. Yes, they have reached out within. Yes, they have Garden for Good. They have all these things, but men ain't. Every man and woman don't want to be no gardener. You know what I'm saying?
Not forever.
Let's be real.
Not forever.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't want to do that, right?
Not forever.
So you know, so like let's just be real, right? Let's be honest. Once again, I'm a firm believer in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I'm all aboard. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? It also said Jesus meets them where they are.
Yes.
And you know, one of my good friends in prison that I've known just as long as I've known Al is getting out April 2nd, and he's Muslim. And he sends me a Christmas card every year. Why? Because we were real with each other.
Yeah.
He's my friend. It has nothing to do with anything else. I let him be real with me, and I'm real with him. And yeah, I think a lot of those programs are just that you have to plug yourself in somewhere, or you get lost and you plug yourself in the wrong places. And without, though, I think you just have to have, what about skill assessments? You know,
Right.
Why don't they assess somebody? Why don't they assess people's skills and see what they're good at and try to plug them into some place that they're good at what they do,
right,
to begin to help them develop not just a skill, but develop their soul.
Right. And I think that that's, you know, kind of in the same way that we think about maybe school and kids going to school, we have to teach. Every kid learns differently. Every kid, you know, interacts with their environment differently. So because of that, we have to teach them differently. Teachers learn all the different kinds of techniques, all the different ways and methods and theories of how to teach these kids. And so it's the same.
It's all the same.
Right. And exactly. But and that's the problem, is because it's all the same, but it can't be all the same, because it's exactly that is everyone is different. Everyone comes from different backgrounds. Everyone comes from different experiences. Everyone, like I said, interacts with their environments differently. Everyone, you know, even just kind of perceives things, may hear something completely differently. You say one thing and they hear it completely differently than how you were actually saying it. So it's being able to make sure that you're hitting all of these different kind of styles that people like have as learning styles, or, you know, attachment styles, or all of those kind of things, making sure that you hit all of those areas. And they don't do that. It's just very, like you said, cookie cutter, as like, this is what it is, and this is what you get, and you just kind of like gotta get in where you fit in. And if you don't fit in anywhere, then what? Then you're just lost. And that's not fair nor appropriate.
So let's break it down. Can we break? I was sitting here thinking about it. Let's break it down. So the whole thing, programs. And so having a program like this, or any other program outside of Christian program, right? Because what happened is Christian people, they will bring the people there. Even when I was part of the program, they still had problems getting volunteers to come in to help promote what they was doing, right? So a lot of times the prison system would say that they don't want to implement this program because they don't have the staff to back the program, right?
But see, like, I took away all those problems.
Let me break it down. That's what let me break it down.
Took away those issues, because I know that's an issue.
So that's why I'm saying, let's break it down, right? So now you have developed a program to eliminate that, but it's even far more than that, because one, they eliminate, don't have to have the guard or anything, right? First of all, we've been monitored on your phone system, right? You seeing, you hearing everything's going on, but not only that, so they not even spend, the inmates or the men or women are spending their own money to make these phone calls, which entails what? Means they have to get a job to maintain this connection. In order to get a job to maintain this connection, you got to be what? You have to be responsible. You have to get up every morning. You got to put your foot to the pavement. You know what I'm saying? If you want to participate in the podcast, you got to stay out of trouble. You got to stay focused, right? Like if we break this down section by section, right? It ain't costing the prison anything.
Nothing.
No.
Nothing. It's
Control.
actually helping them.
Yeah.
It's costing them
It's actually
control.
helping them. It's not costing you nothing. It's
Right,
not costing you no
Marta, that's
manpower, not
exactly
costing you no
what it's
money.
costing them.
As
That
a
is
matter of
what
fact,
it's costing them.
as a matter of fact, it's putting money in your pocket because I'm spending money on the phone.
Right. But it's about control.
Right.
It's just about control. They don't have control. They don't want anything where they can't control it.
It doesn't take up any staff's time. Calls are already being recorded. Everything is sent through JPay or the getting out, whatever messaging service there is. So everything is really transparent. So it makes, and you don't have to worry about someone coming into the prison and being able to, safety, contraband, all of that is eliminated. You don't have to worry about any of those things, but yet the service is still being provided. And there's still, the program's still going. So it's then begs the question, what is really the issue? What is really the problem?
Control. It's just control. That's all it is. Control. Period. It's always control. That's the system. It's punitive.
Right. So,
So can I propose
They
something?
don't come back.
You said
You
what,
what?
Trisha?
I said they don't make money if the inmates don't come back.
That's
right.
That's the bottom line.
That's right. It's just about control.
In the world we live in, if we're going to be honest, it's all about the bottom line. Prison system is very profitable,
Right.
and so it's an anomaly. And when I say anomaly, it's very rare that you find men or women who actually get out and become successful. If you, especially if they don't have a great team behind them. See, I'm blessed. I had a great team before I got out. I'm talking about those who don't have a great team. That's when I speak anomaly, that's what I'm talking about. Right?
Well, you hear about the team, you hear about the really bad guys, the guy that's been on parole and gets out and takes somebody's life or does some terrible thing. And then you hear about the guy who's really, really, really succeeded. But there's a whole multitude between there and there that just get out and try to exist.
Right.
That just try to exist, try to adjust, you never hear about them.
Right.
And they either get a job or they go back in. And if you don't want to re-entering, then help them learn to stay out.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think if they know somebody cares, that goes a long way. I think people, they just don't care. Bottom line.
Right. And I think that that's the biggest part of it, is that people just don't care. I think that people say that they care because it sounds good. It sounds better to say that I care. But we all know actions speak louder than words, and your actions, can tell me everything about what you think, how you feel about me, and, so on. And so that, I guess, takes me to my very last topic, which I think we already kind of touched on a little bit, which is just, I guess, wrapping up by talking about how important it is that people are able to maintain connections and the important things that come from being able to build those connections. Because it's not just, it is, we build the connections, but also from connections, like I said earlier, you get networking, you're able to get job opportunities, you're able to meet people that are able to help you get a job opportunity. You're able to, it also in that way bridges that gap where people can, everything's on the internet, so anyone can always go on there, but people can get that perspective of you before actually coming in direct contact with you, being able to make that connection with you where they feel like, oh, I saw them on here and maybe I'm willing to take a chance on them and give them a job, because now you've built that connection. But that's for, employment and being out in the community. But let's think about, people and family connections that are built for people that, you know, you can't, well, obviously we know you can't talk all day, every day. The phones get turned off at certain times, get turned off, or, you know, get turned off at night. But what if you want to hear your loved one? You know that there's a place that you can go to hear them, even if it's during a time where you're not able to talk to them. They haven't called. You don't have people that don't have money to put money on the phones. All of these different things, they can then go to this place. There's a place for them specifically that they can go and hear from them and get encouragement from other people that are in similar situations. Find resources, all of those kind of things that are just important in building and maintaining connections with family, maintaining connections with society, you know, being able to come back into the community safely, comfortably, with the community feeling comfortable with you coming back, but also you feeling comfortable being able to interact with the community. So then, because now that stigma has started being broken down a little bit, you're seen in a different perspective than as just somebody that, you know, is locked up, that's in prison. Now I hear what you do every day. I get to hear what you do. I get to hear what you're thinking about. I get to hear the different things that you're doing. And so it's giving that opportunity to see a little bit how our system is working or not working.
Well, I think I just listening to Sam, you know, I didn't realize what a gift he had as far as asking the right questions, because that's not easy. And I think it built his confidence up, and
yeah,
you know,
he's really
do
good.
that. Yeah, it would do that for someone else if they had that opportunity. So I think it's been great.
Do you feel like it is a good way in being able to maintain a connection, or being able to maintain those connections, or even build connections for people that, you know, maybe have been in for so long that they've lost connections? They don't have family members that they're in contact with. They don't have loved ones that they have, but it's another alternative way for them to be able to start building those connections again.
Yeah, because you see a side of them, like there's things I've learned, you know, and
Right.
Sam and I, we talk every day, so it's not like we don't have relationship, but
Right.
I'm sure there's a lot of them out there that absolutely have no family, no one that cares. So I can't imagine what it would do for them, how it could help them get that connection back, and see them as someone else other than who they think their son or daughter is, you know.
Right. I think that that's really important, I think, for families. What's up, Abraham?
So Maggie, aka Melody, mom, I hate to break this to you, but the reason why Sam was so prolific in answering these questions, because he's been around me for so long time, right? So I just put that in there.
So are you a legend in
You don't
your
get
mind?
the glory for that.
No, I just had to say that. No, but for real. So Sam and our relation is really like real genuine, right? That is my brother for real. You know what I'm saying? And I love that, man. That's my guy. And so from my first encounter meeting Sam to even up to this point where we are doing this podcast, I can see the difference. I know the difference, right? So you talk about the excitement and him going in, man, he running down to me, hey, bro, what you think about this question? Should look at a different light, right? He's so many different ways, he's trying to connect the puzzle to make it more impactful for others to really to gravitate, even know, to even experience God's goodness, right? So just knowing that, from knowing him when we first met, even now to the point, it's like, man, right? So I can see that. And so I would even speak on a level for like the connection wise when it comes to Sam and I would say like even Pastor Kurt, Greg Zetterberg we had on there. Who else was there? It's like Brother Darren. We have Marta, we have Ashley, we have Karen, we have Crystal. We had so many people that come on during these interviews that has opened the doorway. You know what I'm saying? Open a doorway to with reconnecting him with people from his past, right?
Yeah.
We're able to see him in his life, what God is doing in his life right now. And even to the point that the people our brain that he asking questions, they just gelling and communicating, right? These things is extremely important.
Well, it brings continuity. It just brings a continuity, and it allows him to know. I mean, Sam brought some really good points when I was on there, and I remember those things. So it gives him some validity of that. He can think, that he can be productive, that he can participate, and people will listen and care, you know?
What I'm also kind of seeing though too, it's also building a community within the families of these inmates. So the families also have a support system amongst themselves to help reacclimate when their family member does come home. So you can help and assist each other with the reacclimation to your loved one coming home. And sometimes like when my cousin came home, we had no clue how he was going to react. We had no clue how he was going to fit back into our family dynamic. But like from what I'm seeing on this podcast just from today is it also helps the family help the loved one come home and to be more successful, because you have that connection with your family member. And then you have the family members of others who are going through the same emotional aspect and the mental anguish of, well, who's he going to stay with? Where's he going to live? Where's he going to go to work? Like you have that support system to help him be more comfortable when he does come home, because you have people who've gone through it with you.
Yeah.
Right.
After 26 years, I can honestly say this is the most I've ever talked about prison life. in a way that people get it.
Right.
That people really get it. And I know a lot of people where I live, and I know a lot of people in the community, and they don't get it. They just don't get it. And so, yeah, I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm at home. I love this.
Well, we appreciate you guys, and I guess I will wrap up because I didn't want to hold you guys forever. But thank you guys for coming. Does anyone have any last thoughts or anything that they want to say or put out their last thoughts?
Yeah, I will say something.
Well,
I always gotta say, hey, I got something to say, man.
How much time we got? Oh, no.
Nah, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. From a person who has experienced that life, and I would say if I had something like this to add on to help me, first of all, just learn how to communicate in a magnitude with different multitude of peoples.
Yeah.
This would have helped a great deal. And let's take away the fact that if I didn't have the support system I did have before I came out, just the experience I've had with Sam and just putting it together, I built a whole other network of people. In order to be successful in life, you have to have a network. So this is a great network.
It is.
right. Aw, thank you, Abe. Sam, do you want to say anything before we go? Any thoughts?
I definitely have to piggyback. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I definitely, it's been great. It also helped me and Abe stay connected. And so when the whole time we were in here, like, we really had a topic and things that we were passionate about. and we would come together and we'd work on it. We did a thing with Contrast Father, just breaking down what it was like to have the type of fathers we had and how that father that we had, how it impacted our life. And so we were able to really like use who we were inside the joint together and really bring it out there. And it really, our circles have really connected his people and my people. And it's been a chance for me to interact with people. Like, so I don't get visits. It's just not something I get. My people live in Washington State. I live all the way out here. I'm like 2,300 miles away from home. And so this has given me just an opportunity to meet people I've never met. And every single person we interviewed, like every time afterwards, I was like, man, these people are great. And so for me, it's when all I have, my interactions are with cops, and they're not, I know that their job, and this may be wrong, it's typically, they're looking for something that I'm doing wrong to hurt me, to keep me in prison longer. So like, they're not my friends. And so all my interactions with the people on the streets is negative. And now when I'm interacting with people from the streets, other people, it's all been positive, wonderful. And I'm also building empathy and understanding from different perspectives that I would otherwise not have. And so it's been huge just for me communicating, because I kind of been in a hole for a long time. And so it's been great communicating. It really has. So, man, this has been a huge blessing. And so I hope that the Ohio administration gets a chance to hear this and see how impactful it has been on my life. And so, and Portia, once again, I really thank you for staying in there and staying strong and fighting for all of us in the system.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys. And your mom was right, Sam. You do a really good job asking questions.
You do.
Thank you.
Even if you get it from Abraham. No, just.
I wasn't gonna say that.
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone else have anything that they want to say? Any final last words before we go? All right.
Thank you, Portia.
Yeah. Thank you.
You
Looking
You
forward
guys
to
are
the next one.
welcome. We appreciate you guys, and I will let you guys know when we do the next roundtable.
Hey,
All right.
again.
Thank you guys for coming. It was
Thank
awesome
you.
talking to
All right,
you.
thanks for having us.
So, what have we learned? What's the lesson for today? For all the never-ending days and restless nights, that morality is transient, that virtue cannot exist without violence, that to be honest is to be flawed, that the giving and taking of love both debases and elevates us, that God or Allah or Yahweh has answers to questions we dare not even ask. The story is simple. A man lives in prison and dies. How he dies, that's easy. The who and the why is the complex part. The human part. The only part worth knowing.